right, some more just general thoughts about my dad. So if you know me, you probably know I'm a sports fan. Minnesota Vikings is a big passion of mine. And anyway, I've always really followed football, baseball, basketball, as well as running and some of the other sports that I enjoy that are the individual type sports like tennis. I never really was into golf at all much, but followed it a little bit, some of the big names. But anyway, I've always been a big sports fan, as long as I can remember, and that's always just sort of been my getaway. I call it my playground of life is sports. But so my dad, he's from Minnesota, was born there, and you might think that's actually why I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, and it's not really the case. He was more of a sportsman than a sports fan. So he was really big into hunting and fishing and the outdoors and the cowboy stuff and all that. So that's who he was. You go to his house, and his house always, up until he died, was decorated with animal heads on the walls: elk, deer, goats, antelope, bearskin rug. He loved big game, and most of it is ones that he shot himself, either with a rifle or with a bow, didn't matter. And he was never more happy than when he was out in the woods, out hunting or fishing. And so he would take me along a lot of those trips with him growing up. And it's a lot of really good memories. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of not so fun memories as well. And some of those, and part of the reason why I never got into it like he did, is I think he was so serious about it, like that was his life. And as a kid, I never, he was just really, really hard. He wanted me to experience those things with him. And we did have some good experiences, and I'm going to talk about some of them that I remember. But a lot of other times, he was just very hard on me, and I couldn't do anything right. And he would yell at me, and it was just not fun at all. So I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna keep this positive and talk about the fun stuff. But that's just to give that context. Is people, I've got adult friends that know I grew up in Montana, know I grew up hunting and fishing and stuff like that, and they try to engage me in conversation about it, try to ask me about my hunting days and what kind of guns did I have and all this other stuff. But it's a subject that for some reason, it gives me I don't know what the word is, if it gives me anxiety or what, but to this day, it makes me uncomfortable just because I remembered how it made me feel in so many ways, never being able to please my dad. And it was a sad thing. It's really a sad thing to look back on now, is that he wanted me to be like him, which a lot of dads would want that for their kids, and so that's wonderful. And those are even some good skills to learn and stuff. But it just wasn't fun. But some of the memories I do have that I'll tell you. One of them, I must have been. I was in my teenagers. I might have been in high school. early high school, but definitely in my teenage years. And we, my dad had a boat. It was just like a boat with a motor on it, nothing fancy. I think it's just an aluminum boat. But but just he and I were going camping up at Holter Lake in Montana. So we go there, and he's like, got everything all loaded in the boat, on the back of his truck. And he said, we're going camping. And so we get up to Holter Lake and launch the boat in the lake. And we get in the boat, and all of our gear is in the boat. And we start, across the lake in the boat. We went clear over to this remote part of the lake, remote shore, where there's certainly no like organized campgrounds, nothing like that. It was just pure wilderness. And we come to this one area, and we get out and start unloading the boat, and he said, this is where we're camping. And like I said, no areas, so we had to kind of clear a place where he pitched a tent, and clear a place and make a little fire ring. By this time, I remember I'm getting pretty hungry, and I'm thinking, I wonder what's for dinner. Fry up some steaks, maybe? I don't know. But my dad was a big steak eater. But I can't remember if I asked or whether he just told me. He said, well, if we want to eat, we got to go catch it. So we didn't bring any food. I'm like, what? So his whole idea, it was this plan the whole ahead of time, is that we were going to go out there, we were going to set up camp, and we were going to go out on the boat and catch our dinner, and that's what we were going to eat. Cook it up in the fire. And so he had, I want to say it was these trolling things where you drag them along, kind of along the bottom with a bunch of different hooks. And we were trolling for perch. Perch are, bottom dwellers. They're known as, junk fish in a lot of places. If you go fishing someplace and they have limits on like how many trout or different types of fish that you can catch, there's no limit on perch. They want you to catch them because they're not good fish apparently. So these little things. So we went out and we're trolling for perch, and all I remember is that we caught tons of perch. Just, more than I, would have even remembered, I think. I don't know if it was 20 or 30, I don't know. But we caught a whole bunch of perch. And just would throw them into the boat and catch more. And so anyway, we had all these perch, and we go back to the camp area. And one thing my dad was very good at was filleting. He could butcher anything, and was just skillful precision, knows what he's doing. But in this case, he had a fillet knife, and he had a frying pan and some butter, and maybe he would have had some couple potatoes and carrots or something like that. But so we started a fire and put some butter and whatever seasoning into the pan, and he just started filleting these little perch that were, 3 or 4 inches long, sometimes at most. And he started just filleting these perch and showing me, how to do it. And then he would take these fillets and he would throw it into the fire with some butter, maybe some onion, seasoning and stuff, and just not into the fire, into a frying pan. Throw it into a frying pan on the fire, and just fry these perch up. And I got to tell you, those are some of the best meals. Oh my goodness. It tastes so good. Just fresh caught perch, filleted to where it was boneless, so we didn't have to worry about bones. And just fry it up in a frying pan with some butter and seasoning and onions and maybe some potatoes and carrots. But all I remember was we really didn't bring any food on that trip, and it was 2 or 3 nights we stayed there. But boy, we ate good. So that's one of the memories that I just remember my dad. That's just how he was. That was typical what he would do. Live off the land type stuff. So anyway, that's one I wanted to share. I'll talk to you later.